In this brief demo, I'm going to show you how you can create a mask in Adobe Animate. I've already got a file here started with an image on the bottom layer, and I've named that layer Image. And I've also got a second layer with nothing on it yet, which I've named Mask Layer. First thing I'm going to do is simply just span this out across about 20 frames. So I'll highlight frame 20 and drag downwards, and hit my F5 key to just create a long span for both of those layers, and come back to frame 1 here right now. Now this bottom layer is just going to be static. It's just an image I brought in, and you should just bring in any image for this example and make sure it fits on your stage. The mask layer is what we want to deal with. So I'm just going to create a circle that will animate from the top left to the bottom right. So I'll just go to my oval tool here. And the color is not relevant in this, it's just the shape that will generate the mask. So I'll leave this at the bright green with no stroke on it. And we'll start by just clicking and dragging here. And if I want it to be a perfect circle, again I need to hit the Shift key. And I'll say that's fine for what I want to do. Now for this mask to work, I actually need to convert this vector shape into a movie clip. So I'm going to go up to Modify, Convert to Symbol, and I'll give it a name. I'll call it Mask, and make sure that my type is set to Movie Clip, and click OK. And you should see a bounding box similar to this around your shape. It's now nested in a movie clip, if you will. So the next thing I'm going to do is right click on that first frame of my mask layer, and I will actually create what's called a Motion Tween, which applies to movie clips. And then move to the final frame with my playhead. And again, a Motion Tween, when we go to a frame that has no keyframes, if I make a change on the stage, it will automatically generate the keyframe. So I'm simply going to move this down to the bottom right. And you can see here that my layer has created an animation. I do have my motion guide here. And if you notice down in the timeline as well, if I click away here, I do have, I'll move the playhead here, I do have a keyframe at the last frame. And if I scrub, you will see that the ball moves from top to bottom as we go. So to make this ball the mask, in other words, it will act like a little hole which will allow the contents of the layer below, and that's how it works, it masks the layer below. It will allow that to show through only in this designated area. So the last thing I need to do, and it's pretty easy, is right click on that mask layer, and we have a feature called Mask, and it's that simple. And you can see now that that is working as a mask. And I can always go and animate this line. I can change it. Let me just go to my selection tool here and select that. Actually, oh, I see it's locked. Yes, sorry about that. One of the, I guess, conditions of masking is that it does automatically lock the mask layer and the layer that is being masked. And that leads me to the next issue here, is if I wanted to do an edit. And that's why I couldn't edit, because my layer was locked and I just wasn't paying attention. So if I unlock a layer, it does two things. Number one, lets me go back and create an edit, but it also disengages the mask temporarily. And simply by locking that up again, the mask is turned back on. So if I do want to edit this line, I can now go in here and kind of swoop that around so it will swoop across and down. And if I want to see that, I turn the lock back on, and I can just test that by dragging. I can hit my Enter key or my Return key to play that as well. And of course, I can hit my Control Return on the PC, Command Return on the Mac to see it actually play, and it will loop. And it's going pretty fast, but you can see there the effects of the mask. So those are the basics of creating a mask. I'll just remind you, once the mask is created, it will lock the two layers, the layer that is masking and the layer that is being masked. And if I need to edit either one of those elements, I unlock it and I can make my changes. And then just to turn the mask back on, you simply lock both of the associated layers. And that's how we create a mask in Adobe Animate.